What's up, guys? Welcome back to part 2 of this 3-point perspective drawing from reference series here. So just a quick run through of what happened last time. We set up our 3-point perspective grid. We drew this castle on top of a rock. We were using references of castles on top of floating islands and stuff like that. And now we're kind of in the finishing process. So we're kind of thinking now, I have some basic simple shapes up here, but we can go way more into detail, right? I can definitely add some detail in this too. And then I also want to be thinking about how I want this picture to be colored, because that's going to kind of give me a frame of reference for how detailed I really want to draw on this, because I also want to think about how much detail might be lost within the coloring process if I'm going to be going dark colors, light colors, whatever the situation is. So I've come up with a few ideas. The first one being, I want this to end up being a water level, where we're going to have our water coming around here. We're gonna have some splashes going up, right, going off this way, whatever. Make this castle really look super mysterious and dark and luminous, like in a cartoon or something, where it kind of sets the mood with the thunderbolt and all that stuff. I do like the hills in the background. I kind of feel like that really brings your eye into the castle a little more. And then of course I really like the moon structure here, which we'll play around with once we kind of get the color in there. So in order to do this stuff, I had to gather some references. So right here, I got a reference for pretty much the exact color scheme that I want to go with. This is what would be called a monochromatic color scheme. If you guys look at the picture, you can tell even the moon is a shade of blue. It's a very, very, very whitened out and bright color with a hint of blue in it though. So everything in this picture is blue. It's just a variant from dark to light, following the monochromatic color scheme. And I really kind of like that because it can get a really nice, dark, moody kind of feeling going on there without overcomplicating the color scheme. I also wanted this reference to kind of see how the moonlight is going to play with the water and what other things I can be thinking about in terms of how moonlight might be reflecting off of objects and how much light it's emitting, right? The other references I got were for water splashing against the rocks. Now, this might sound like a really simple reference to need, but realistically, this is not the time to go in blind. I really like the picture that I drew, and water reacts a certain way. So why not use the resources that we have, which in this day and age is literally anything at the touch of a button. So I went on Pinterest, I found water splashing against rocks or cliff sides, and these are the pictures that I came up with. And these are the references that I'm going to use when I'm trying to create that foamy white water kind of look, splashing against the rocks of my mountainside. Now, before I get to all that fun stuff, I did also bring up this reference, which is an illustration, of course, but I really was looking at it for the high amount of details that they have in there. And you can see based on this one versus my picture, this one has so much more details in it, but it has that right to have that amount of detail because it's the black and white ink drawing, essentially, where the whole drawing is about the line work. It's about the detail. Nothing is getting wiped out by shadows or anything like that. It's all about the intricate, really tight detail in there. But I can also kind of make the comparison that maybe I haven't pushed mine far enough. So I'm going to add some of these details in here. I just want this picture to the side as a reference for myself. And then we're going to add some of these fun castle characteristics in here. Obviously, this is very fantasy based. So is mine. So I can take it wherever I want. Let me throw on some royalty-free YouTube music for you guys, and I'm going to spruce up my castle a bit. All right, so I really just added a few little details to this thing. I didn't go too far with it. Again, I'm going to be experimenting with a dark color scheme, which would be like this dark blue right here of this picture. So I don't really want to throw in too much because I don't really know how much is going to still be shown at the end. There's always opportunity for me to come back and add whatever I want at the end. So, you know, it's best to just kind of take it to a place that I'm happy with and then have the option to come back after. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill my whole screen with blue, and I'm going to start figuring out where I want that moon shape to be, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so I have the basic setup of my color now, and really I'm just going to go in and completely play around and see how I like the light sources and stuff. For the most part, we know that we have a pretty direct singular light source in this picture, which helps a lot. So the moon is our light source, so it's going to be creating really nice rim lighting on all of this structure of the building. It's going to give us some really nice deep darks on the opposite sides of the building, because remember, we're thinking about that 3D form. So even when I have a pillar like this where it's round, we're going to have that light source hitting there, and then the rest over here is going to be in shadow. Now, since I'm sticking with a monochromatic color scheme, which to say again, that's when you use one color and you use its lightest and its darkest qualities, I put my color palette over here to this side. So I can use anything in between this as well, but these are essentially the 4 values that I'm going to be using from this blue. So I have my dark blue, which is my background color already. So I can go darker than that. I can obviously choose like a much more black blue. And then all the way down there, I have my really bright blue, which is actually lighter than the moon. The moon right now is this guy right here, which I can always kick up the intensity of if I want. And I can also make the sky around it seem a little lighter so it looks like it has a glow. These are all things I'm going to mess around with. So I'm going to see if I can really kind of enforce this 3D perspective that I draw now with some color schemes. And I'm not going to go too complicated. This isn't going to be some masterful oil painting, but I just kind of want to get a sense of light and dark just so you guys can kind of see how mapping something out with 3D perspective can be really helpful in terms of figuring out your picture and the planes of your picture. Let's get to this. Alright guys, so I have my base colors laid down, and you can see I kind of went in with a nice glowy gradient kind of feeling in the background. You're kind of thinking of sky principles here, where the sky meets the horizon line. That's where it's going to be lightest, and then as it goes up, it's going to get darker. Of course, around the moon's area, it's going to be brighter there. And then same principle actually applies to the ocean. You just kind of flip it. So at the horizon line is going to be the darkest, because that's where the ocean is the furthest away from us in space. And then as it gets closer, it's going to appear to be brighter. So, and remember, the ocean is the color the ocean is because it's reflecting the sky. So even at nighttime, it's still reflecting the sky. So they're both playing off of each other. They're both doing the same thing. From here, what I'm going to do is I have my base colors laid in with my rocky form and my castle. Now, I'm not going to go all fuzzy or gradient like I did in the background. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose my edges, looking at the 3D planes that I created. Think about where the light is hitting and where the light is not hitting. And based off of those assumptions, I'm going to either light the edges, keep the edges as a medium color, or darken the edges for shadow effect. I'm going to try not to go too complicated into it. Basically explaining it, this is my light source right here, right? The moon. So this is emitting the light, which means that around the edges, we're going to be seeing that light, like I said before. But that also means that places like in here or over here to the side, these aren't going to be seeing as much light, you know, maybe down here underneath the bridge, this side of the pillar. These things are going to be absent from the light source. And we only have this one single light source. And although the moon is very big and prominent in this picture, it's not going to give enough light for some of these places. So I'm really just going to push the darks, really make that 3D form pop out. I'm going to use my selection tool to kind of keep my edges nice and hard. You guys can totally go for that gradient depending if you're using paint or color pencils, whatever tool you guys are using. Have fun with it. Just try to have the basic shape plan in mind when you're going into it. So that way you can hit it, get the structure down, figure it out, then go into the detail. So let me lay these shadows and light shapes in. All right, guys, there it is, all finished. Of course, I could definitely go in this and add much more value of blues and different tones and stuff and push my contrast and all that good stuff. But I wanted to leave it pretty simple, just nice and easy, kind of three-tone. You got the highlight, the mid-tone, and the shadow on both the castle and the hill. The castle and the hill play against each other. The hill's a little bit of a darker blue while the castle's a lighter blue. So we're working with that contrast still within my monochromatic color scheme, right? See, the contrast doesn't always have to come from two opposing colors or something like that. It can also come from the difference of light, just like the moon in this picture is much brighter than anything else in this picture, right? So that's creating a huge contrast. My God, that guy can talk a lot. So anyway, because I did forget to record myself drawing the water splashing against the cliffside, but after I did it, I did end up liking without the water splashing. But I want to hear your guys' opinion. Looking at this right now, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys do end up liking this one better, I'll change the thumbnail of the video to this actual thumbnail with the text on it. Really anything other than, you know, it doesn't have to be just a cityscape. I hope this showed you how you can use it for your own illustrations and just how it's a tool that really helps you figure out and how to place your 3D shapes. And it also can lead to shadow structures and stuff like that as well. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.